This video is presented by Western and Southern Financial Group, a game plan for your financial future. Every great team starts with a strong foundation, and your future should too. With life insurance built like a championship roster, Western and Southern helps protect what matters most so you can focus on winning today while planning for tomorrow. Whether you're just starting out your journey, building your dynasty, or ready to retire like a champion, Western and Southern has the right play for your life stage. Visit westernsouthern.com to get your free life insurance quote today. Western and Southern, built to win. San Francisco 49ers versus the Seattle Seahawks. This was part 3 this season of these teams meeting, and unfortunately, Dalton, unfortunately if you're a 49ers fan, it went exactly the way that it did in Week 18, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Seattle, 41-6, a lot more points for Seattle side of things, but basically the same storyline and how we got there. The top 5 graded players for the Seattle Seahawks in this one: halfback Kenneth Walker with a 90.6 overall grade, linebacker Ernest Jones with a 90.3, cornerback Devon Witherspoon with a 90.2, offensive tackle Abraham Lucas an 88.7, wide receiver Cooper Kupp an 88.5. Sam Darnold in this one, oblique injury and all, I say that in quotations because he looked fine. 73.5 overall grade. On San Francisco's side of things, tight end Jake Tonjes was the top-graded player with a 90.3. Cornerback Diamonor Lenore with 78.4. Offensive tackle Colton McKivitz a 75.7. Offensive tackle Trent Williams a 72.6. And then fullback Kyle Juszczyk with a 66.4. Brock Purdy in this game a 59.3 overall grade. Real quick, saw that Zach Charbonnet, unfortunately, suffered a significant knee injury in this one, and he will be out for the rest of the playoffs. Dalton, what was your stat that told the story here?
This Seattle defense is, I don't have to explain like the fact that it's a major problem. They're a major problem. Like they, a bit like Philadelphia's defense in the Super Bowl run last year, I kind of just ran out of answers for how to beat them. Right? And they didn't do anything crazy exotic. They only blitzed Brock Purdy 4 times in this game. Trevor, they were in a too-high shell on 42 out of their 60 defensive snaps in this game. 14 design carries for the 49ers against 2 high safeties for just 47 yards. Brock Purdy, 12 for 20, 96 yards, 53 passing grade.
Yep.
Seahawks, when they were in too high in this game, had a 90.4 coverage grade. This right now, much like I explained a little bit after with the way that Vic Fangio ran his defense after the season ended for Philly, 2 high safeties and their front 7 is so good that what do you do against this team? You really, I think at this point, just have to hope you're more physical, or that if you're the Rams and Matthew Stafford, that Stafford just makes some special throws against this defense.
Right.
The way that it is structured with Nicky Menwori, and this is something that Mike McDonald talked about earlier in the week. We have a tweet we can show with Chris Clough, who mentioned that Mike McDonald was talking about Nicky Menwori. Chris Clough, longtime reporter around Seattle. We've kind of turned into a 4-3 base team with a crazy athletic Sam linebacker, Nicky Menwori. Mm-hmm. That's really what we are. When we go to a dime, we're a nickel 4-3 team. We're basically just 4-3 in a nickel. And Menwori stays out there as the second linebacker in a nickel. Nicky Menwori's a linebacker. And the way this defense is structured around him, they're really in their base defense. When all of the charts and everything say they're in nickel, Nicky Menwori's a linebacker. And what this does for this defense, with Julian Love and Kobe Bryant getting to sit back in too high, and Menwori and Drake Thomas and Ernest Jones, as well as they're playing at that linebacker level, that they can defend the run with 7 guys. Boy, this is a defensive coordinator's dream right here. This team with this level of talent at all 3 levels, there are not many answers at this point schematically, because they played. This was maybe as basic a game plan as they've had in any game all year. Because we know Mike McDonald, he can come at you with different pressures and rotations and everything else. And this game, they lined up in cover 2, like almost like your old Tampa 2 down there with Derek Brooks and all them. And they just said, sure, we're going to be more physical up front because we don't think you can run on us.
And faster, too, right? I think that's the thing.
They are
is that
blazing. It's unreal how quickly they swarm to the football.
Because that's my most impressive in this game was Devon Witherspoon, because I go back and I watch his game, and obviously like his grades pop because he was in the top 5, but I go back and I watch his game, and I mean, he's flying, fearless. I mean, he is every single game. It's not like that's any sort of shock, but like in this game, 90.2 overall grade, 88.5 run defense grade, 87.0 coverage grade. I'm watching him set the edge. I'm watching him take on smaller receivers. I'm watching him close in on Christian McCaffrey and stay up with Christian McCaffrey. I'm watching him go one-on-one with Jake Tonjes and not only bump him at the break of the route, but also cut in front of him for an interception that I believe that was the one to the sideline where he caught the football and he just couldn't get 2 feet in bounds, but he got that interception that was right there because he was able to cut off that pass. I watched him body Jawan Jennings, who's one of the better run-blocking wide receivers in the NFL. It's like you have a player like that who's a jack of all trades who gives you this insane speed to go along with physicality, and now you also – so that's your roaming player in the secondary, and now you have that player in Nicky Manwari. So, sure, like you get the coverage you get to play can be basic, like you're saying, where you just go – yeah, all right, we'll play cover 2, sure. And then we'll just have these maniacs run everywhere underneath it because it's almost as if they could be 2 places at once.
Yeah, it's the base. It really is. It's just a base. It's a base 4-3 defense. Eamon Warrior's a linebacker, but he's such an athlete that any other team in base, you can expose that third linebacker or just the entire linebacker level. Yeah, he's not normal. You try to – I think there was a play in this game. I forget if it was a back or a tight end. Somebody was trying – I think it might have been a back. Somebody was trying to wheel out of the backfield, and Eamon Warrior just turns and runs with him, and he's just blanketed like it's nothing, man-to-man, because this is not – alignment-wise, he's a linebacker, but he's not because he's this athletic freak who had one of the greatest combines ever, who went to the perfect team. And the fact that they're so flexible that – if they're in base and you go to some sort of like 3-receiver type set, he can just bump out to the slot and you have no issue with that. And he can play out there in space. And then you could pull Drake Thomas off the field if you want to. There's the quote right there from Mike McDonald on the structure of his defense. If you want to pull somebody off the field, it can just be Drake Thomas. And Eamon Warrior stays out there with Ernest Jones as the green dot. And you have no issues in coverage. Plus, you have Eamon Warrior plus 5 other defensive backs, plus one of them's Witherspoon, who can play in the slot anytime you want him to. And you can match up with slot receivers. So, at this point, and the second Shaheed housed the opening kickoff and Seattle was up 7-0, this game all of a sudden, there wasn't going to be much doubt about it. Because this defense, they have answers for everything. And in this game, it was very simple answers. And I think at this point, they just know they're better. The speed you mentioned, the versatility with the defensive backs, Eamon Warrior essentially acting as their third linebacker. The front 4 was just dominant in this game again with Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy and DeMarcus Lawrence, all those guys up front. This is a monster, man. I mean, if you're going to beat this defense right now, boy, you better just play your best football. Yep. Schematically, at this point, I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah.
Because their personnel, they don't have to match personnel.
Yeah.
They have 2 groups. It's that base group with Eamon Warrior at linebacker, or it's just Drake Thomas coming off for another corner. And athletically, really, they're in dime.
Yeah.
It's almost like they don't have even they don't need a nickel. It's insane to try to match up with what this team does because they're so fast and so athletic and so versatile.
Yeah, it's just it's what every team in the NFL would want to have, but there's just not very many Nicky Manwaris. There's just not very many Devon Witherspoons. And to have both of those guys in the same team for a defensive mind like Mike McDonald, who, let's also give credit where it's due, the front 4, you talk about, okay, we're a base 4-3 defense. Well, the reason you feel so good about being a base 4-3 defense is you have Leonard Williams, you have Byron Murphy, and you have DeMarcus Lawrence as 3 of your 4 defensive linemen at any point in time, where you feel pretty good about all of those players holding the line of scrimmage, defending the run the way that they need to, not getting blown off the ball, even if they're going up against duo blocks. And then also when it comes to getting after the passer, all of those guys can really push the pocket the way that they need to. So you're in a situation where defense is always the reactionary side of the ball, right? Offense changes personnel. The ref's got to get in between the quarterback and the ball to say, oh, hold on. We're going to give the defense a second to also be able to match your personnel here. For the Seahawks, I agree. You're right. It's almost as if the offense can just change whoever they want, and basically the same 11 can stay out there with Seattle and go, okay.
And that's a huge problem because let's just say with Eman in there and 4 other like nickel is actually their base defense. Mm-hmm. So often if a team's going to sit in base or they're going to sit and say 5 defensive linemen like the Rams do sometimes, right? You hurry it up and you keep them in that personnel. They're in a personnel grouping they're completely comfortable with because Eman is what he is and he can play in the slot and they're so sound on the back end anyway, you don't get that advantage either. So it's very, very hard to pick out a specific advantage. And then you mentioned the D-line, those guys, Boye Mafe up front, Jaron Reed up front. They got so many big bodies up front too that are getting it done. I'm telling you, man, this is a real puzzle right now you have to solve when you're trying to score on this Seattle defense. I'm curious to go back one more time and look at the last Rams-Seahawks game. It was ended up 38-37, right? Or 39-38, whatever it was. I'm curious to see. I want to go back and see once again what worked for the Rams in that game, other than just Puka Nacua being great, which is maybe what it takes. Because on paper, this is probably the hardest defense to score points on, and even more so than Houston. Because Houston, they got great players, and the approach is very simple, and there's maybe certain little things you can get after. This team right here, I'm not even sure at this point. This is a monster you're dealing with Mike Macdonald's.
Yeah, they split the series 1-1 in the regular season, but the total margin of victory was 3 points. In the first game that was in Los Angeles, LA won that one 21-19, and then in the second one, which is in Week 16, Seattle won that one 38-37. Yeah, was the final score of that one. Stat that told the story for me is you talked about how they kind of were like, okay, well, we're going to limit what Brock Purdy's going to be able to see deep down the field with our speed and our 2-high coverages, and they were able to run that back because I think they did that similarly in Week 18. The Niners' run defense was also horrible in Week 18, and it was horrible once again just a couple of weeks later. 33.0 run defense grade as a team for the San Francisco 49ers. C.J. West and Alfred Collins, 2 of their interior defensive linemen, had run defense grades below 30. Seattle rushed for 175 yards. In this game, and in Week 18, they rushed for 180. So it was basically the same script. They ran the ball really well, and they said to Brock Purdy, you're not going to throw it deep. And that was basically the recipe that they were okay running it back. They just did it even better this time around. Most disappointing was the Niners' injuries, obviously. You can talk about Fred Warner being out because he was kind of close to returning, and it's a bummer that he wasn't able to get out there. Nick Bosa's injury with him not playing most of this season. And then just little things, right? I mean, George Kittle not being in this game. Jake Tunges getting hurt in this game. The linebackers being really thin for San Francisco. It was just so many injuries piling up on them week after week, it felt like, in this season. I wish we would have gotten the chance to see these two teams fully healthy here in this matchup, but sometimes having that health luck is part of what makes a Super Bowl run, and it feels like the Seattle Seahawks have a lot of the right players still out there, which is a lot of fun to watch them play that way.
Yeah,
Anything else in this one?
The only other injury to watch is their left tackle, Charles Cross, too, who left this game. That's obviously a big piece for a Seattle offensive line that has played a lot better recently. You still want arguably your best player out there. Gray Zabel's been great lately. Yep. Abraham Lucas was outstanding in this game. Right, I really like the more I watch him. Jalen Sundell at center, he's been getting better too as the season's gone on. But they really need Charles Cross healthy. You need every offensive lineman you can get still against this Rams team that they know so well has that defensive line, Jared Verse and those guys up front. But that's the one other thing to watch. And then really now it comes down to, I think the big question to ask for Seattle is this one of those defenses? I'm not just talking really good. I'm talking, is this one of those legendary defenses? Because the question from everyone now is going to be, when is Sam Darnold's moment to either do it or not? Mm-hmm. Is this one of those defenses where he doesn't even have to?
Right.
Like Brad Johnson, like you mentioned, really, that Tampa defense or the Legion of Boom or the 2000 Ravens. Is this one of those ones? Because this was a performance that
it feels like we're getting there, right? It felt like it was a little bit of a slow burn throughout the season. Always been a good defense, but things have guys have been a little bit in and out of lineup for them. Witherspoon was hurt for a little bit. Had some other injuries in the secondary. That second linebacker spot they were kind of trying to figure out. And then it was right around that time when Nicky Manwari really started to get in this lineup and play on fire that now I would say the last month and a half of the regular season and then getting into the postseason, we are talking about just an elite defensive run right now. And if they continue to play at this high of a level in that NFC Championship game, then getting to the Super Bowl, potentially winning the Super Bowl, I think that if that is how things play out, we will be talking about Seattle as having not just a really good defense, not just the best defense this season. We'll talk about them as one of the best defenses that we've seen over the last 20 years, because it feels like that's where they're headed if they keep this up.
Since week 13, all right, they've played 7 games. 6 of them, they've given up 16 points or less.
Yeah.
And the only one with more was that Rams game where they gave up 37.
Whoo! I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
That round 3 always felt like felt like it was destined to happen.
I wish we had Bo Nix fully healthy.
Oh,
because Broncos Patriots is a really good matchup. It's a really fun matchup if Bo Nix is out there, but we'll see how good of a coach Sean Payton is, what he can make happen with Jarrett Stidham.
Listen, don't count Denver out of it.
No, you can't.
I remember it was back in, I think, 2019. Remember Drew Brees hit his hand on Aaron Donald's hand and he was out for a while?
Yeah.
I remember being at a game in Jacksonville, Saints Jaguars, and Teddy Bridgewater starting that game. Mm-hmm. And it was, I'll say this for Sean Payton, he puts on clinics in complimentary football.
He's a master.
They go over there. They won 5 games in a row with Teddy Bridgewater starting.
I remember.
That was one of them. They won it 13-6.
Yep.
He don't care how he wins it. He's going to find a way. Don't just sit here and assume that game's going to be some blowout for New England either, because I'm telling you right now, he's going to have Stidham ready to play. If they lose that game, New England's still going to have to earn it. That is not going to be New England just walking in there and blowing them out. I've seen Peyton do this before.
We'll talk about that game in depth when we get to the preview show on Wednesday. Of course, that game, and then Rams Seahawks as well. 2 very, very exciting AFC and NFC championship games that we're going to get to on the Wednesday show, which same time set at 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live for that one.
Everyone's got takes. Numbers have truth. And the truth is, most people are betting with emotion. Sportsbooks feed on it. TikTok gurus sell it. The hype machine runs on it. That's how you lose. PFF is different. You're betting with winning data. The same data trusted by all 32 NFL teams and the sharpest minds in the game. PFF betting tools take every prop, every matchup, every angle, and run them through our custom models. Built on the best football data in the world. What comes back is your edge. Simple, sharp, and built to win. Want to go deeper? PFF puts a pro-level analytics department in your hands, giving you the same insights teams use to find every advantage. Build your game plan with matchup analysis. Project every snap, every matchup, and every edge before kickoff, because the smartest plays start long before Sunday. Hit rates show how a player performs against their prop and against defenses built the same way. It's the data that gives you real confidence in every pick. Next, Key Insights translates PFF data into the story behind every matchup, giving you the why that powers your bets. From coverage schemes to defensive looks, it's the context that turns raw numbers into winning decisions. When you're ready to take action, filter through every prop on the market and focus on the opportunities that matter, by game, matchup, or value. Then, shop for the best available line in your area and tap your book of choice to place the bet instantly. Everyone's got takes, but now you've got truth. Bet with data, win with PFF.